Recent drone attack on an airport in northwestern Russia is carried out from within Russian territory. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Vo Van Thong of Vietnam on his country's National Day. His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq sent a cable of condolences to His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa on the victims of the fire that broke out in a building in Johannesburg. In our international news, a Palestinian is killed and several others are wounded in a raid by the Israeli occupation forces in Tubas in the northern West Bank. The Palestinian Ministry of Health said that the young man was affected by a head injury, claiming that he was carrying out an armed attack during the raid on Tubas, adding that 4 other people were injured during the clashes while surrounded by the occupation army. Yesterday, a Palestinian youth was martyred in western Ramallah, claiming that he had carried out a run-over operation that led to the death of a soldier and injury of 3 other people. Ukraine's military intelligence said that a recent drone attack on an airport in northwestern Russia, which damaged several transport planes, was carried out from within Russian territory. The attack this week on Pskov Airport, some 700 kilometers from Ukraine, marked the latest strike to rock Russian territory since Kiev vowed to return the conflict to Russia in July. Ukraine's intelligence chief said that the drones used to attack the Kresty air base in Pskov were launched from Russia, and he added that 4 Russian Il-76 military transport planes were hit as a result of the attack. 2 were destroyed and 2 were seriously damaged. Meanwhile, Russian air defenses destroyed a drone approaching Moscow, the city's mayor said, a day after a similar attack on the capital. Russian media reported that air traffic at Moscow's Domodedov and Vnukovo airports had been temporarily halted. Preparation for Typhoon Saola is underway in China's southeastern coast. Fishing boats in China's southeastern Fujian and Guangdong provinces were moored to their harbors, and lifeboats were prepared as over 100,000 people, helped by emergency personnel, were evacuated from danger zones. China issued its highest typhoon warning yesterday as Super Typhoon Saola, packing winds of more than 200 kilometers per hour, heads towards the southeastern coastline, threatening Hong Kong and other major manufacturing hubs in nearby Guangdong province. Singapore held today its first contested presidential election, which saw 3 candidates campaign to become the country's next head of state. The candidates include former Deputy Prime Minister Tharman Shanmugaratnam, the former Chief Investment Officer at Sovereign Wealth Fund GIC, Kok Song, and a former Chief Executive of insurer NTUSC Income, Tang King Lian. Whomever wins will take over from Singapore's first female president, Halima Yaqub. More than 2.7 million Singaporeans are eligible to vote in today's polls. The country's 3rd presidential election since the 1991 Act gave the public the right to choose. Singapore's strict qualifying criteria has meant that all elections, bar the vote held in 2011 and 1993, were uncontested. Kazakhstan's President Kassym-Jomart Tokayev said today his country will hold a referendum to decide whether to build its first nuclear power plant, adding that the date would be decided later. He stressed that Kazakhstan, as the world's biggest uranium producer, should have its own nuclear power capacity. The Central Asian nation's government has long discussed the idea, citing the need for new power generation capacity and even identified a planned location for the facility in the southeastern Al-Mari region and mentioned Russia's Rosatom as a potential partner. However, some activists oppose the project because of the safety concerns and Kazakhstan's history as home to the Soviet-operated semi-nuclear weapons testing ground. Temperature records are being toppled across Asia as from India's summer to Australia's winter in fresh evidence of the impact of climate change. In India, this August was the hottest and driest since national records began more than a century ago. Authorities in Japan also said that the country had experienced its hottest summer since records began in 1898. And in Australia, this winter was the warmest on record with an average temperature of 16.75 degrees Celsius for the season running from June to August, marking the highest average winter temperature since the country's records began in 1910. Still to come in our news bulletin. Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center conducts survey on the types of plants in the Dhofar Governorate. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The activities of the first edition of Talinco Hackathon are conducted or concluded in Sohar University in the Governorate of North Batna. The event witnessed the participation from 120 talented youths from various governorates of the Sultanate of Oman. The event was presided over by Her Excellency Dr. Rahma bint Ibrahim al-Mahrouqiya, Minister of Higher Education, Research and Innovation. The hackathon included a number of fields, namely fine arts, literature, and science. During the conclusion ceremony, the achievements of the innovative youth were displayed, in addition to a session for traditional Omani and Arabic music. The Office of the Governor of North Al-Batina, in cooperation with the central team of Ijada System in the Ministry of Labor, organized an introductory workshop on Ijada System and the mechanism regarding the satisfaction of those benefiting from the system. The workshop was conducted with the presence of general managers and director generals and customer service employees in the government units in the governorate. The system aims to improve the institutional performance in government units and allow the employees to set up their goals for their particular work field, in addition to evaluating themselves throughout the year. The workshop shed light on the goals of the system as well as the standards that play a role in evaluating the government institutions. It also focused on the challenges and difficulties facing the management of government units. Kharif Dhofar 2023 concluded its activities where hundreds of thousands of people from inside and outside the Sultanate of Oman have enjoyed the beauty of lush greenery in various wilayas, including waterfalls in various locations. Here is a report.
Kharif Dhofar concluded its activities, during which hundreds of thousands of visitors from inside and outside Oman have enjoyed their visit in these iconic landmarks of the Sultanate of Oman. Indeed, the Governorate of Dhofar and many areas of the country has so much to offer. Here in the Governorate of Dhofar, the versatile landscape, sandy beaches, deserts, mountains and wadis, as well as these breathtaking waterfalls in the governorate that still exist up to this day, did provide excellent atmosphere to all. Governorate of Dhofar is indeed blessed with these spectacular waterfalls during Kharif season, where more and more splendid waterfalls are seen, nestled among the lush green beauty of the mountains. The beauty of the waterfalls instantly attracts thousands of tourists to get closer and enjoy the scenery.
I think before I talk about the place, I think the kindness of Omanis always attract us to visit Oman. And Salalah is a beautiful place. I think it's an amazing environment, drizzling, and the sceneries are awesome. Yeah. And I think, as my colleague said, good is the enemy of great. There's always room for improvement. I think Salalah can be attraction for a lot of tourists to come, instead of going to Europe, to come to spend the summer here. And it just needs to have some more facilities and more hotels. I think this has a great future for tourism.
Series of small falls consisting of water descending over rocks or boulders. Lovers of this nature are fascinated with the beauty of these waterfalls while they continue to explore different waterfalls in the governorate.
It's really beautiful atmosphere whole in the Salalah. It's the most beautiful place whole in the Middle East. Our relatives have come from Pakistan just to see Salalah. And I hope everybody comes here and visits Salalah.
More and more spectacular waterfalls that can be seen blend beautifully with the green exotic landscape of these lovely mountains, and together they create an almost painting-like image. The view of this natural splendor has been absolutely gorgeous. The Kharif activities concluded, but the beauty of these greenery mountains and breathtaking waterfalls do exist up to this day. In the governorate of Dhofar, good climate and greenery mountain here in Salalah, the governorate of Dhofar, is the best atmosphere for one and all to enjoy. Abdullah bin Ahmed al-Rubai, Sultanate of Oman Television, governorate of Dhofar.
A research team from Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center conducted a survey for the type of plants in the governorate of Dhofar. Here is a report.
Within the project to gather and preserve the plant's genetic resources that have a social and economic value in the Sultanate of Oman, a research team from Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center, affiliated to the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, conducted a survey for the type of plants in the governorate of Dhofar. The team plans to cover around 800 kinds of plants within the governorate of Dhofar. According to studies, there are around 1,400 kinds of plants in the Sultanate of Oman. The team within this project aims to gather seeds of various plants and study the dangers facing such types of plants, either through natural or man-made causes, which may lead to their extinction. The team also aims to collect various types of information about the plants in the governorate and keep that information in the database of the Oman Animal and Plant Genetic Resources Center so as to be available for those interested in related fields and for future research.
This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main headlines once again. His Majesty the Sultan greets the President of Vietnam on his country's National Day and condoles the President of South Africa on the victims of the fire that broke out in a building in Johannesburg. A Palestinian is killed and others are injured during an Israeli raid in the northern West Bank. And Ukraine says the recent drone attack on an airport in northwestern Russia is carried out from within the Russian territory. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night and have a lovely weekend.